exciting. I am here with my friend Larry from LCScreentalk.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about movies that we think were a little bit overhyped. And we're not talking it like these are solid movies for the most part. They're not terrible. They're good. They're entertaining. But like they sort of billed as sort of masterpieces or the best of their genre. There's a lot of hyperbole. We're talking about hyperbole here.
Yeah.
And hyperbole can really sink a movie. And you know, when it's good, it's entertaining, but I just didn't think it was like amazing. And so yeah, we're gonna talk about that, and we have our top 5 for 2017 so far.
So I don't know if your list was in a particular order. Mine is not.
No, mine is not
kind of listing the 5 that came to mind.
Yeah.
So my list is also kind of a mix of the average moviegoer and like general audiences, as well as like people proclaiming it's this masterpiece, these like film auteurs, whether online or in my actual life.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and start off with probably the most recent one, and it definitely falls into that film auteur snobbery, and that's Mother. I really just think that Mother has been very divisive, so the general audiences haven't taken to it at all.
Yeah,
but I think
F's in the score.
That's made the like film community double down on their like defense and like praise of Mother. But really I don't think it's as smart as it thinks it is. I don't think Aronofsky crafted the film well, and the narrative just falls apart. And if you look at any of these allegories and if you challenge them even a little bit, they start to fall apart really easily. And yeah, I think people are just trying way too hard to defend this as a masterpiece. There's a lot of rhetoric about if you don't like it, that means you don't understand it, you just don't get it. Like, no, I get it. I just didn't really care for it all that much.
Yeah, yeah. And so I haven't seen that one, but I gather that's I think I would agree with you if I saw it. Yeah. So yeah, mine are all pretty popular films, and so the one that I want to talk about first is Kong Skull Island, and I think that this movie is just thoroughly mediocre. I didn't think it was, I don't know, it just didn't inspire me. Some of the visuals of Kong are great. Yeah. But I thought that it was very inconsistent, the movie. There would be a character I'd like, and then there would be like 2 characters I didn't like. There would be visuals I liked, like Kong, and then there would be these weird lizard creatures that I hated. And I just thought that it was pretty boring. It was pretty, I just felt it was uninspired. I just didn't, it wasn't exciting. To me, it wasn't fun. I think that there are, you know, movies that are sort of monster movies that are, I think, more interesting and have more interesting characters. I would rather watch the Peter Jackson King Kong if I had to, even though it's super long. Yeah. Because at least it has some interesting characters, or it tries, it has some emotion. And yeah. I felt like the attempts to kind of have this bond between the Brie Larson character and Kong felt very tagged on. When if you're talking about the original King Kong from 1933, it actually has something to say. And yes. The visuals, yeah, they look hokey in that film now, but like, they are consistent. All of the visuals look the same. They all look like they're from the same world. And so I don't know. I just left feeling kind of underwhelmed. So I have Kong Skull Island as my 5th pick.
I definitely am one of the people who had a fun time with Kong Skull Island overall. And I think Kong looked amazing. I'll definitely agree with you on that one.
Yeah, he looked good.
But I also agree. I think they realized, can we have a Kong movie where we don't have him fall in love with the blonde lead? Ooh, we better shove something in real quick. I definitely agree with you on that. It wasn't really needed, actually, but...
Yeah. Like, I think more from the Planet of the Apes, or like all the Apes movies, I just think there's so many movies that are just more interesting, and I don't know, it just didn't do it for me.
I know Godzilla gets a lot of flack, but I actually think Godzilla is much better than Kong.
Yeah, agreed.
I think it's, again, a more interesting film, and it at least is crafted in a unique way, and is pretty consistent.
Yeah, agreed.
So, next up I'm going to have just kind of a crowd pleaser film. I don't think critics are necessarily going to bat for it all that much, but I'm going to say Despicable Me 3. It's made over $1 billion. I would say it's probably my 2nd favorite in the Despicable Me franchise. I mean, it was fine. It felt like 3 TV episodes, like cartoons that you would see on Nickelodeon or something, tacked together with a rough kind of through line that was like, oh, okay, well, this is fine. This is an okay way to kill an hour and a half with. It didn't provide us with anything new. It was the same kind of Illumination style in terms of animation, in terms of comedy, in terms of storytelling that we've seen with pretty much all of the Illumination films. So, I don't know, people continue to love the Despicable Me franchise. It continues to make $1 billion. I just don't quite get all of that hype around it.
I don't get it either. I did think it was better than Minions.
Yes,
I did. Agree. And there were a couple, but it was very fractured.
Yes.
And I did not like Gru and Drew at all. They were very annoying.
Can we just focus on the little girls? Like, her storyline with the unicorn was, like, by far my favorite thing.
The Kristen Wiig character bonding with the girls, that was actually pretty good, but it wasn't serviced enough. And I thought the Minions, for once, actually made me laugh.
It's because they were used very sparingly.
Very sparingly. And they sang the Modern Major General from Pirates of Penzance, and that was funny. That was actually funny. I was like, I'm laughing at the Minions. It's amazing. But yeah, it was thoroughly mediocre.
Yes.
The next one is one that a lot of people really loved, is Split. And I am not an M. Night Shyamalan fan, and I feel like people sort of bonded with him, and he's just one of those directors that people like Tim Burton. We were talking earlier about Tim Burton. Like, people bonded with them, and they're just like rooting for them in this way that, like, for some reason other directors like George Lucas or don't get that kind of like, we're pulling for you, M. Night. And the thing that I didn't like about Split is because I felt very uncomfortable about the rape subtext to the film. The idea that, like, the one character was somehow more pure than the other 2 girls because she'd experienced multiple childhood rape, and that, like, that somehow made her more worthy to, like, you know, that made me really uncomfortable, and I really didn't like that. And also, like, I was slightly uncomfortable with sort of the way that the mental illness was handled. I mean, I think that's probably being oversensitive because, you know, it's not like people are looking to Split for, like, a correct portrayal of a mental illness. I get that. But, like, it really did, there was more the rape subtext that I just thought, ew, this is ew. I didn't like it. And it's certainly, there's good acting in it, and I get it, you know, but I'm not a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan in general, and I don't really love Unbreakable that much, so, like, the twist didn't do much for me to sort of excite me. And so, yeah, for me, I would say Split.
Yeah, I was one of the ones who enjoyed Split quite a bit. So, but I will say, especially, I've noticed it a lot this year with a few different films. The mental illness depiction has not been positive at all. Yeah. I don't think we've gotten a good mental illness depiction. This film, I am going with Alien Covenant. So it has a high Rotten Tomatoes score. And again, this is more, I think, the film community. I think people at large kind of didn't seem to feel one way or the other about it.
A bunch of people I know hated it.
It didn't do great on the box office. But again, I feel like critics and this type of film community really have kind of tried to defend it as a misunderstood kind of masterpiece of film, which, honestly, it baffles me. Honestly, I left that film like, are you kidding me? And especially with how harsh the Alien fan base was toward Prometheus, and how much they really kind of, like, didn't like that film at all. The fact that they're now turning around and defending Alien Covenant, which goes down that same path as Prometheus, but in my opinion, doesn't accomplish it as well as Prometheus, when talking about creators and creationism and trying to go into all of this, like, different intellectualism. I'm like, oh, can we just get an Alien film? Like, for the first third or so, it's really good. Like, when they're in full-on horror mode with those aliens, it's so good. But then we get explanations on where the xenomorphs came from, and it's like, nobody asked where these xenomorphs came from, and nobody wanted them to be, like, genetically modified creatures. Can't they just be aliens? Like, I don't understand. So, I don't know. I don't get the hype around Alien Covenant either. I think it's, honestly, I think it literally is just because Ridley Scott is back. And I feel like he's kind of in that category too. He went so far off the rails for a while, and he's a legendary director, that he got to get Alien back, so people feel the need to praise it as some underappreciated masterpiece, when really...
Yeah. I did not see Alien Covenant, because it's like... the director had said, Ridley Scott had said that it's a hard R, and I'm like, if it's got kind of, if most people I know didn't like it, I'm not gonna step out of my comfort zone for that. So, this one is one that was very beloved, but I feel like it's already kind of being forgotten a little bit, but I did not respond that well to, is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And this is not a horrible movie. Again, these aren't like horrible movies, but I don't know, I just felt like it was such a mistake to break up the team. And they basically created a family by the end of the first movie, and all of their personalities kind of meshed together to create like a really fun group that like one character would be sort of sarcastic, one character would be more deadpan, and one, like they had all of these different personalities that together really worked, whereas when they split them all up, to me, I felt like I started to get annoyed with the character's shtick. Like I'd be like, I've had a lot of Rocket, or I've had a lot of Drax. And then they would go away from him for a long time, and I thought that some of the subplots didn't really work at all. I didn't think Nebula and Gamora worked at all. I was not a big fan of Ego. And that's right, Ego, right? Yeah.
The planet.
I thought that it was so like just ridiculous and so like over the top, and you know, this is like, and I guess his whole plan is to be completely alone. He's like overtaking all of these worlds, and I don't know. It was just, I just thought it was very lame. I knew that he was bad from like the very beginning. It was obvious. And there was supposed to be this big reveal, and then there's like this emotional moment where Peter's like trying to defend his mother, and like you see David Hasselhoff there, and it's like, what? I don't know. I don't know. I didn't think the soundtrack was as good. It was just very underwhelming to me. And so, yeah, for me, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and I love the first one, but I just really, I don't know, I was really disappointed by it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's made a ton of my list as one of the most disappointing, if not most disappointing film to come out of 2017. That script was a mess. I mean, they just tried to shove so much, so many different stories into there, and it's like, oh.
And they work together as a group, but not individually, I don't think.
No. This one is going to be Beauty and the Beast. Yeah. So, Beauty and the Beast, I think just everybody I know in my personal life loved this film. I think there was one or two that were kind of like, that was fine. Like me. That's pretty much where I was. That was fine. I didn't mind it. I didn't hate it. But I certainly didn't love it and didn't think it was amazing. But most everybody else, all up and down my Facebook feed, as soon as they saw the movie, were just like, oh my gosh, favorite movie ever, so amazing. And I just kind of was sitting there like, oh, I didn't think so. But I think it made okay adjustments to the film. I thought some of the backstory with Belle and her mom was okay. I certainly didn't think it was bad. I thought some of the development with like Gaston and especially LeFou, I thought actually was a character.
But I feel like they solved plot holes by creating new plot holes.
Oh yes.
Like why would Maurice not tell Belle about her mother? No, like it's not true. Like dying from the plague is like some kind of like STD or something like that. Like, it makes no sense, and that book was horrible. Like, what were they doing? I have a lot of issues with Beauty and the Beast, but my main problem with, and it's actually on my list as well. My main problem with Beauty and the Beast was the singing. I just didn't like the singing.
Well, that's
wasn't
a big part.
It wasn't very good, and so that was my biggest problem.
Yeah, I was like, well, Emma Watson. I thought she was actually fine as Belle for an actress. I mean, she certainly looks the part. If you were to imagine somebody who looks like Belle, I mean, Emma Watson certainly fits right in. But, oh, no. That singing voice, I really wish they honestly had just gone the route of the old ways and had her lip sync to somebody else's voice.
I agree.
Like, I really think it would have worked better. It would have made her seem better. Especially because in Belle itself, she's singing amongst a chorus. And the chorus sounds great behind her and, like, around her as they all sing. And then she comes in with this like auto-tune. But I also love like Ewan McGregor, and I think he's actually a pretty good singer. I did not like his rendition of Be Our Guest.
Yeah, his accent like floated in and out.
His accent was very weird, and the fact that he was French, but everybody else was like British in the castle, which I mean, kind of is the case in the animated one too.
But it was like a bad French accent. Like
that was it was horrible. Like, even his wife said it was horrible. Like she's French. Yeah. Also, I love Emma Thompson, and I hated the weird Cockney British accent she did. Her weird. Singing was not good for our title song. The staging of Be Our Guest was not good. Like they made it. I understand like they were rusty because they hadn't entertained for a while, but having them like falling off the table and like making a fool of themselves, I was like, no, it's supposed to be a grand, big musical number. Like, so overall, Beauty and the Beast just. It was fine. I wasn't like angry watching it. I didn't like.
Yeah, it was no Maleficent, but like it was. I gave it I give it a C+. So it was like barely positive, but I don't know. I just I have a lot of issues. This is a movie that I gave a B to, and people are treating it like it's a masterpiece, and it's an A+, and it's so great. So, like, I gave a positive review to this movie. It's a good movie. But I just don't think it's amazing, is Baby Driver. I think the Baby Driver is solid. I think it's entertaining. I think it uses music really well. I think it's very well edited. But I don't know. It's not one I've thought about, really, since I saw it. It's not one that's stuck with me. I just don't think it's a masterpiece of the year. Or even beyond that. Like, people are treating it like it is just... one of, I don't know, like I just feel like it's a fun, it's sort of what Fast and Furious should have been, just a fun, entertaining sort of heist type movie with some good songs, and but it gets really wackadoodle at certain points, like it totally like John Hamm is indestructible basically in that movie, and you really do kind of, I hate the phrase you turn off your brain, but you kind of do it in that movie, because like some of these heists you're just like, there's no way, like if you really start to overthink it, like how could they get through there. And I didn't really like either of the female characters in it. I felt like Lily James' character was just sort of the naive ingenue, like she should have asked way more questions, and I did not buy the ending really. And I thought that you sort of had the sweet ingenue, and you had the tough girl, and in the John Hamm girlfriend character. And so I don't know. It is a like I said, it's a brave pick, because I'm sure I'll get lots of flack for it. But I don't know. I just think it was entertaining, but not like amazing.
I can't comment too much. It's in my top 5 movies of the year, so I don't have much to say on that one.
Because I just didn't buy that she would wait all that time for him, that she would, like, the ending I didn't think worked.
In my review, actually, that was one of my negatives, is I did not like the ending at all. Like, I thought they just did a really weird, wrap it up, like, happy fairy tale ending. It was, no, the ending did not work. Yeah. My final overhyped pick is going to be SpiderMan Homecoming. So I left SpiderMan Homecoming alright. I thought it was a fun little Spider-Man movie. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it, I just kind of was there with it. And then I get online and people are just saying, you know, it's the best Spider-Man movie ever. It was the #1 superhero movie of the year. Some people are ranking it like as their #1 movie of the year, which obviously I'm glad you liked it, and I'm not going to say much about your favorite movie of the year. I guess I'm a little bit jealous because I wanted to really love this movie, and I ended up just liking it. I felt it was a little bit too conflicted on whether it wanted to be a small, contained film, and then you had that Marvel influence where it needed to be big and it needed to expand. And I don't think it quite struck the balance as well as it could have. And I just don't think it really did anything fantastic to warrant it being ranked as #1 or this masterpiece. I don't think it did anything as well as Spider-Man 2 to become the new best film in the Spider-Man franchise. I think overall that's just a superior film, period. And then they shackled Michael Keaton. That's such a thing. Like, he had a couple of really good, like, wonderful small moments. And then every other time he just kind of did nothing.
But even I think he's been way overpraised because He's not bad. He's good. He's fine. And he even has some really chilling moments, good moments. But like, people are saying he's the best Marvel villain ever, more than Loki, which I think is crazy. It's crazy.
I think so too.
Like, again, Michael Keaton's one of those people that like people just love him, which is great, and he's a talented actor. But like, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing, and I thought that I knew you were going to talk about SpiderMan Homecoming, so I do think the hyperbole was strong on it.
Yeah.
I think, but I enjoyed it. It was solid. I think if I was a teenager, I would love it.
And I actually loved, I think that's what I wanted more of. I wish we had just stayed at a smaller film. I wish they had been able to just go small. Because I loved the interactions with the characters, and I thought as a teen movie, it worked really well.
But on the same breath, I wish it had been bigger in the sense that we didn't see hardly any Spider-Man being Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like swinging through the city, kind of
and
thing.
There's
very little.
It's like, and they took away Peter Parker, like so much of Peter Parker because Tony Stark has to be involved. Yeah. And they also replaced Uncle Ben and everything Uncle Ben means to the Peter Parker character of like inspiration and male role model with Tony Stark, who's in there like hitting on Aunt May, like I don't know.
The thing I liked about that, but I liked that Tony was back to his old sort of ways, which like the last 3 films he's been very, very depressed and sad. And so it was kind of nice to see that, but I fear for Tony in Infinity War because like he's just gotten engaged. I feel like
that plot hole though? Like why are he and Pepper Potts back? Weren't the last time we saw them they were broken up and he was like crying almost on the stage?
And it doesn't really make sense either because at the end of Civil War, like they show this like them leaving the airport and everything like that. But that doesn't really make sense because at the end of Civil War he's like reading this letter from Cap and all sad and helping Rhodey and everything like it. But supposedly like in between then he's like with Peter like hanging out and wives talking and stuff like that. That is not the person at the beginning of Spider-Man Homecoming is not the same person at the end of Civil War.
Yeah, I think I agree. I liked Tony Stark as a character here. I just don't like the way they used him in relation to Spider-Man as a character.
But it's an entertaining film.
Yeah,
it's just not like certainly I don't think the best Spider-Man movie
the best MCU.
But I really liked him and his friend. I thought they were great.
Great.
I enjoyed Tom Holland.
Tom Holland is great as Spider-Man. I agree. I love him.
Yeah. So it's just that we're talking about hyperbole.
Yeah.
That it's just a little strong sometimes. You're like 93%.
Oh my gosh.
Woo. Anyway, so it's an interesting thing. I debated whether I was going to be brave and do Baby Driver or do Furious 8 because I feel like that didn't get that good of reviews, but I just was very underwhelmed by it. I thought it was kind of boring, actually. I thought I did not like having Dom taken away from the team. I guess that's a theme with mine. If you're going to have family be a theme of your franchise, then you need to have the family. And, like, it really suffered for me. Like, I really thought Shirley Sloan was a miss. I did not like her at all as the villain. And pretty much the saving grace of that movie to me was Jason Statham with that baby. That was so funny. But like I don't know, I really do like the franchise a lot, and so I was pretty disappointed by Furious 8. So maybe it's just not my year for car movies.
And when you can make me like believe in or at least not question a car jumping from one skyscraper to the next. But then in the next movie, be like, wait a minute. Like, stop right there. Like, at the end, when there's that explosion and the cars just create a circle around Dom.
Yeah. I'm
like, that's not how fire works. The fire's going to go over and under that car and get the person in the middle. Like, just because you circle him, physics doesn't work that way.
Because Fast and Furious movies are supposed to be big, dumb, fun. But I didn't think that it was big, dumb, or fun enough. So that's my problem. I'm not expecting Shakespeare from Fast and Furious. But I just thought it was kind of boring.
And I think it missed Paul Walker. Like, I think they tried to shoehorn a new pretty white boy in with Scott Eastwood, and
that didn't work at all.
He was horrible. Like, they really, his character was completely unnecessary. And it's like, I don't know. It does make you wish, like, 7 ended so well. Yeah. You could have just ended there.
Agreed. So, all right. So that is our. Did you have any more?
No.
Okay. So that is our list of the movies we think are overhyped for 2017. So let us know. Let us know your outrage in the comments section. What you think, and subscribe to Larry's channel, and subscribe to my channel. And thanks so much. Bye.